Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. 6 things we learned from Chelsea 1, Red Bull Salzburg 1. There is not enough wheeling away in celebration as Chelsea stumble really to another point in the Champions League. First point in the Champions League, first goal in the competition in a Chelsea shirt for Raheem Sterling. Graham Potter's first game in charge. Well, it isn't a loss for a start, so we're kind of sat here in a mediocre kind of mood. But if you can subscribe to the George Benson football channel, I do match reviews like this after every single game. And whilst you're at it, thank you very much for the 70,000 views on a match preview this morning. Please hit the like button on this video too. But let's be real, shall we? That really wasn't much different whatsoever from anything we've seen in recent weeks. There were moments in the first half where you can see that there are more players getting into more advanced positions, but same old story. We can't finish things. We don't make the pass, the incisive pass beyond the lines, as opposed to, well, what really looked to me like, again, a game void of ideas. Yes, Graham Potter's only been in charge for a week or so, but at the same time, you would hope that there was a bit more urgency from Chelsea players. When Salzburg equalised, we're going to talk about that equaliser specifically because as I was making my notes for the game, I thought until the moment that Thiago Silva slides in, let's be honest, it's a rarity that we see a mistake from Thiago Silva where we don't see him executing those kind of tackles to perfection. And in the end, we end up getting caught out and it is it's a silly goal to concede, but we're going to talk about that one a little bit later in the video. Overall, this is not a result that helps us whatsoever. We are still rock bottom of this Champions League group, and we have got the two hardest games to come. Both games against AC Milan. Salzburg, Dynamo Zagreb. They play against teams like Chelsea, and it means everything. Chelsea are probably the biggest team in this group. They are the team that everybody knows they're not going to have the ball against. They're going to have a couple of chances. Box number 1 is a red for finishing today. The craziest thing about this is RB Salzburg had one flash with a shot from Sesko that was well saved from Kepa in the first half. And then they had the goal. And apart from the fact that I still think they ended up the game with more shots on target than Chelsea Football Club. So finishing is still appalling from Chelsea Football Club. You can bring in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who I don't want to scapegoat for anything here because he is still returning from an injury. He's got this bloody giant mask on his face that looks him more like a superhero than it does a footballer. Kai Havertz as well just didn't really exist in the game. I think he had a shot on target. I think it was on target in the first half. But other than that, didn't really get hold of the ball. He was running a lot. I think he ran more than anyone else in the first half. But I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Kai Havertz, 72 million, scored a goal in a Champions League final. We are beyond the point now where we're talking about praise for how much he runs. We can't just have that, especially if he's lining up front for Chelsea. Armando Broja came on and had the best chance we had to win the game, but he blazes it over the bar. Conor Gallagher, little header down in the box, and Broja kind of just snaps at it a little bit and it goes flying over the bar. Made a good connection. But at the end of the day, what I want to see on the training ground from Graham Potter, we saw a training video. I don't know if you guys watch these training videos. I tend to watch the training videos that Chelsea post on their YouTube channel to kind of understand the clicks between the players. For example, if you watch the last training video, Wesley Fofana follows Aubameyang around. You can see these little clicks building, but they're at opposite ends of the field. Chelsea need to be spending hours on the training ground, maybe additional hours so that we can tactically understand the new manager a bit better within the base hours of training in a day. We need to spend a lot of time on finishing. We cannot be at home to Red Bull bloody Salzburg, not winning matches, having double figure shots but less than 5 on target. It's pathetic, quite frankly, and that is finishing from everybody across the board. But speaking of finishing in a good light, it's a green for Raheem Sterling, who scored his first goal in the Champions League for Chelsea. And when you see a score like that in the opening 3 minutes of the second half, you expect us to actually start pulling our finger out a little bit. You expect us to understand that the first half was better, but we're talking marginally better here. Raheem Sterling's goal, to focus on him individually here, not only is it a brilliant finish, it should set Chelsea up for a different kind of attitude as the game goes on. What I liked about Sterling's game is that he was more naturally out wide. When you've got Havertz and Aubameyang in the middle, you do expect a lot more. But again, at times, there were moments where there were 3 or 4 players out wide for Chelsea, including Cucurella, who I thought had a decent game today. Cucurella was out wide with Sterling. Havertz or Aubameyang would come, collect the ball, go backwards, play that little pass back, but then they'd hover in the same area. There were overlapping runs from Cucurella, from Mateo Kovacic, who would advance beyond Raheem Sterling, and I think Sterling was one of the ones tonight who understood the changes and how we're supposed to play. He was naturally more hugging the width, and there are a lot more smart passes to those overlapping runs, but again, without the finisher in the middle, the final ball didn't come. And I think tonight, I've given a box as well as a green for Reece James, who I thought was probably the best Chelsea player on the field. He also got himself a yellow card for a little bit of afters, which again, we see that sometimes with Reece. He wants to win. He knows sometimes that the fans are frustrated. And I think tonight, 21st minute applause for Thomas Tuchel, thoroughly deserved. The man at least deserved a send-off. And I don't want to make this about like Tuchel would have won this game or we would have done... I think it was the same. I think tonight we didn't see Graham Potter's Chelsea, but I also don't want to sit here and start bringing it back to Tuchel or saying that, you know, to not beat RB Salzburg at home is proof that Graham Potter is out of his depth or not good enough. It's far too soon to call that. Reece James on the ball, I thought was good. Finishing wise, expected him to hit the target with the 2 shots he had from outside the area. There was the free kick that Chelsea fans thought was a penalty. It wasn't a penalty. And then it comes back and Reece puts it over. There was also the snapshot where it comes to him 30 yards out. You listen to the Stamford Bridge crowd. We talk about it. Reece James is a player who responds to the energy of the crowd, but he blazes it over. And unfortunately, that's the final green in Graham Potter's first game. I'm not going to give Graham Potter any kind of box colour today. There's a yellow though for Kepa. The reason I've given it a yellow is because I saw the same dive that I've seen from Kepa before, which is the don't move but fall to the ground dive. Yes, it goes through the legs of Azpilicueta for the Red Bull Salzburg goal, but I think he needs to do better. The shot isn't coming in with any significant pace. There is no pace on the ball, and I think he's got to save that. And at the moment, I wanted Kepa to be the keeper. So you can say, oh, well, you wanted Kepa in goal. Mendy's also injured, and I do have question marks now. And I've always had question marks about both of those keepers. I think Kepa, as a number 2, 72 million, you don't really get many better number 2s. But tonight, he really only had 2 things to do. One of them he saved very well from Sesko at the end of the first half. The second one, he's got to do better. He's got to save that, in my opinion. We move into box number 5. It's a red for repetition. And now, again, I'm not blaming this on the manager. I think to have the nature of what happened last week, a sacking, I think it's a blessing in a way, even though it's obviously for reasons that we're not happy about. The game being cancelled last weekend, I think, would have come too soon for Potter to really change anything. And the proof is that it came too soon tonight also, because even though there were moments in the first half where we did look quicker on the ball, it's passing in the final third when Reece has got the ball or Cucurella's got the ball or Sterling in that second half, or even anyone out wide. Mount, I think, had a good game. A lot of people criticise him. He should have scored in the first half too, or at least hit the target. But we've already readied box number 1 for finishing. We don't play any kind of balls to feet in the box. You remember when Drogba used to receive the ball with his back to goal? We've got to try that a lot more than we're doing right now, because we're not doing it at all. There is always an extra man over when there is an opportunity to put that ball to feet. And we saw it at the end of the game where Ziyech is hugging the touchline, which we know is what he likes to do, and then cut in and put the ball in on the left. Reece doesn't put the ball into the striker. Armando Broja can hold up the ball. And even though the finishing was poor at the end, we need to try and do this more. We need to try and make those balls in and ask one of the attackers, Havertz, Aubameyang, are they physical enough to do that? I think they could be, but they're not at the moment. But they're also not receiving it in those areas because we keep repeating the same patterns. It has to change. And luckily, we've got an international break now. I say luckily because, well, you'd think that it would give Potter more time with the players, but it's a bloody international break in the middle of a busy season. I know we've got a World Cup coming and we kind of need it for countries to get players together and all that, but we've got to change a lot, a hell of a lot. And it is, box number 6 is a red as well because we're bottom of the group and we have played the 2 weakest teams in the group. And it is really now precarious to the point where we've got AC Milan, I think, in the first week of October. And if you don't win that game, you then got to go to the San Siro. And by the end of that game, Chelsea might be out, which is absolutely crazy to think about. We are not looking good enough in any competition so far. But to have 1 point from Dynamo Zagreb and RB Salzburg, and we played them at home tonight, shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And I don't want to say that it's anything to do with Potter right now, but I do think that this Champions League campaign is teetering on the verge of disaster already. I am not optimistic at this point. I'm scared of Milan, scared of Giroud, scared of Rafael Leao, who we couldn't sign in the summer. It's worrying. But let me know the 6 things you learned in the comments down below. Chelsea 1, Salzburg 1. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Haven't already done so. Get those notifications on, because even though I think there's no game for like 20 days now or something like that, I will be making a lot of content because there's a lot that needs to be worked on. Come on, you Blues.